Friends, welcome to the diner for this edition of Burgers and Fries. Now, this podcast is largely an entertainment and pop culture podcast. Sometimes we talk gaming, sometimes we talk music. Ever so often, a political or current event gets the need to be talked about. And since there are listeners who are asking, we'll be giving our thoughts on the war between Israel and Hamas. Now, if you ask me why we didn't ever talk about the Ukraine-Russia war, it's simple. We didn't support either side. And it actually did piss us off that our government was sending money to Ukraine to help fund their war when billions of dollars that could have been used to help with our inflation at home or other infrastructure problems that we had. And in terms of the U.S. intervention, we don't really support any more involvement with this war. You know, Israel is supposed to be an important ally and democracy in that part of the world, and we don't support killing of innocent civilians no matter which side it is. And we obviously are not in favor of funding proxy wars, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, or in the Middle East.
I'm not I'm not on either side either. Just the fact that I fear for what's going to happen in the future, but you have to fear what's going to happen. And I know people know you probably think I'm crazy for that, but deep down you have to fear what's going to happen.
There's always fear of what's going to happen. All right, there's always fear that this could lead to World War III and nuclear exchange. Of course, you're not crazy. You're not crazy to think that, okay? But people thought the same thing in the Cold War, all right? And that never happened. And there's people that are going to say that we're actually closer to doomsday than we ever were in the Cold War. It's like, okay, well, it's pretty much up to humanity to get their shit together. Otherwise, yeah, we're going to destroy ourselves instead of letting us live long lives that we need. And let's be very clear. I'm not anti-Semitic, and I'm not anti-Islam. I'm all about how people treat each other at an individual level, all right? I don't care what religion you are. As long as you don't want to hurt me for my beliefs, and as long as you're not a pedophile, nor a raper or a murderer, you want to be my friend, I'm fine with it, right?
You got it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, there have been lots of killings in the name of God or Allah. Or they say, oh, Jesus is all for this killing. And there have been holy wars for thousands of years. You know, and that small piece of land has been conquered or claimed repeatedly. Jewish tribes, Assyrians, Babylonians, Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Muslim empires, European Christian crusaders, Muslim empires again, Ottomans, and then the British after World War I, and then Israel independence, establishing the State of Israel in 1948, the same year that my dad was born, and they're still fighting. So, October 7th, 2023, Hamas did a series of coordinated attacks on Israel as a surprise invasion. Did you know, guys, that one of the sites they attacked was a music festival?
Yes, I did know that. I
wasn't aware of it. When did
I
this
heard
happen?
about this all over work, Facebook, everywhere. It was everywhere.
They surprised attacked Israel, and one of the targets was a music festival that was celebrating a Jewish holiday, basically on the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. But, you know, a festival where there's a lot of people that are unarmed, and then they paratrooped in, opening fire on civilians, and then kidnapping people and beheading. Like, this is really horrific stuff. And as of this recording, about 2 weeks later, between both sides, 4,641 people have been killed since this war happened. That was 2 weeks ago. So, if you're going to ask, who should we support if a gun was held to our heads and we had to give an answer, I think the answer is simpler than you think, okay? I'm going to ask a series of questions, and you're just going to tell me what country you think fits that bill, okay? Don't answer it until I say. What country has the same values that we have? Okay, that's closer to the same values that we have. What country has religious tolerance? What country has female freedom? Free and fair elections, free speech, progressive rights?
Israel.
There you go.
Israel. Definitely an easy answer.
If you're going to support a country based on moral values, all right, okay, Israel is not only an important ally, but they stand more for American values than Hamas does. All right? Where in Hamas, if you're not a Muslim, you're an infidel. So you have all those morons who do things like Queers for Paladine. That's like a forest of trees who vote for the axe because the axe convinces the trees it's like one of them because the handle is made of wood. Even though we know that if any of them stepped foot in Palestine, they're going to get their asses beheaded for being gay. And that is not right. So the fact that there's a lot of people on the American left who support Hamas, that's terrible.
Yeah, because I remember like there were those people protesting in New York City and all these Muslims protesting in the country.
Yeah, celebrating the bombing and opening fire on innocent civilians, okay? Look, whatever the side is bombing and opening fire on innocent civilians and orphanages, beheading people, kidnapping babies, raping women, videos of terrorists gloating over dead corpses in the back of trucks, or, where you can clearly see that some of these women's asses are bleeding because of rape, those are the fucking bad guys. Those are the fucking lunatics. And if your government is doing and supporting that, then you should be ashamed of that side and switch sides. And anyone who is supporting that and seeing that as justified is just as dehumanized, in my opinion.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily here that we're saying, oh, you must support Israel. But in this type of a situation, I do say fuck Hamas. And I don't say fuck Palestine. I'm not saying fuck Gaza or fuck Arabs or fuck Muslims. All right? We don't hate Muslim people. We don't hate Palestinians. It's the government we can't stand. Hamas has been very vocal about the intentions in their own charter before they even got elected as Palestinian government in 2006 that the day will come when Muslims kill all the Jews and what is left of Israel is Muslim land. And they've even recently said they want a world with no Christians either. Like, America is going to be their biggest obstacle, all right, but Israel just happens to be the closest target. And this is so even if there are plenty of Muslims who don't ascribe to that ideology and would rather live peacefully and coexist, it's their governments that don't want to live peacefully and coexist. That's the problem. Would you guys agree?
Agreed, yes.
I think it was some time ago, Greg sent me a message about how Tara Strong, the actress who plays Princess Twilight in My Little Pony, said something about Israel and Hamas. I didn't want to believe it at first.
What did she say?
She, I guess, said that Israel deserved to be bombed or something.
Good God.
I was a huge fan of Tara Strong, but now it's like I'm not so sure anymore.
This is the sad part, all right? Now, there is a clip from 2010. Have you guys ever heard of this guy, David Horowitz? Probably not. Okay, so
No.
he was making a speech at a Young Americans for Freedom event at University of California, San Diego. And this is on YouTube. You can find it. A Muslim student came up and she was asked by David Horowitz if she would condemn Hamas as a terrorist organization. And she would not answer the question. She was like, "Oh, well, are you going to nail me to a cross?" And he kept pressing her. And then he mentioned like the head of Hezbollah hoping that all the Jews gather in Israel so he wouldn't, have to hunt them down globally. So he asked her again, "Are you for that or against it?" And you know what she said?
No.
For it. So unfortunately, there are people who think that way. It's the harsh reality is if you're a Jewish person or you grow up as one, then from the moment you are born, there are people who want you dead just because you're Jewish. So if there's anyone that's going to say, well, the Jews control the media and Hollywood and this and that, I say, fuck you. That doesn't justify killing them or using them as scapegoats for when shit goes south. Come on, we've already seen what happens when a German country does that.
So, not all Muslims are bad, right?
No, I am not saying that either, all right? Here in Southern California, especially in LA, there's a large community of Jews and Arabs, okay? But nothing justifies a Jewish person living in LA having to worry about violence in Los Angeles over some bullshit happening on the other side of the planet, all because the Hamas government called for a global day of jihad, just because there happen to be Hamas sympathizers all over USA.
Uh-huh.
And again, if the shoe was on the other foot, like when 9/11 happened and there was an anti-Muslim sentiment, remember that?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I'd still be saying the same things. Unless these people are actively celebrating the Twin Towers going down and celebrating the deaths of 3,000 Americans, leave them alone. You don't need to go after them. They weren't part of the attacks. They're not part of that ideology. I would say that there's way more peaceful Muslims on this planet willing to coexist than there are jihad extremists. And there's way more Arab Americans who have assimilated into the American way of life, but they still attend mosques.
Oh yeah, I was remembering that when the COVID pandemic started in 2020, I remember a lot of people were placing all the blame on the Asians for why the COVID virus was going on. And someone started an awareness thing about stopping Asian hate.
Which I agree. Like you shouldn't be doing any hatred towards Asian people, especially if they're from this country, all right, just because a virus happened to originate in China, all right? We're not saying that Israel has been total saints since 1948 when the state of Israel was established. Look, in war, atrocities are committed by both sides and innocent people die. And some will make the argument, and I know and I get if you say that, hey, I don't support either side, I don't support Israel, I don't support Hamas. This isn't about the Jewish people, it's about the state of Israel and the Israeli government. And there's definitely people all over the world, including Jews, who don't support the Israeli government for things since 1948 that they have done against Palestinians. They
Exactly.
see, yeah, they see what Israel has been doing for decades in a series of wars since 1948 as violation of human rights and colonization. But it can also be argued that a lot of the preemptive strikes that Israel did to neighboring countries in the 1960s were due to increased threats from those same countries, who literally said they were planning on destroying Israel. And since the 1967 war, where Israel won, they have actually gradually been giving away the land that they took back to other countries and governments, including Palestine. So the retaliatory strikes in Israel has, it's not made the situation any better because we can agree, every unspeakable horror that happened to Israeli is now possibly happening to Palestinian civilians, many of which who do not support Hamas or the conflict, but are now being collectively punished by the Israeli government. That is just the unfortunate and sad part of war. Agreed? Disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Is there a big difference between a surprise attack of people opening fire on a music festival versus a prime minister warning a country to get out before they bomb them?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
And also, how were they able to sneak by their defenses?
That's a great question because Israel has always boasted about how, how good their intelligence is, but yet they got a surprise attack. Maybe they weren't expecting it to happen on a holiday. Who knows?
Probably someone from the secret defense just decided to just let them open.
Who really knows? And you know what? When it comes to our U.S. government, the unfortunate thing is, in a lot of ways, our current administration kind of helped create this quagmire,
Really?
believe it or not. Oh, yes. Did you know that in 2021, the Biden administration sent hundreds of millions of dollars to aid in Palestine and Gaza, and we were told, oh, it's just for humanitarian stuff. It's not going to fund terrorism.
Uh,
You know exactly where this is going, Greg. You know.
yes.
You're going to say it's not going to. Oh no, it's not going to fund terrorism. Is it going to the people who run the country? Yeah. Is that government terrorism? Oh, I'm going to send money to this country, but it's not going to go to the people who run it. That's like saying you're going to send money to the Coca-Cola factory, but it's not going to be used to make Coke. I have also heard that $6 billion went to Iran thanks to the Biden administration. Hey, Tony, do you know what country sends $100 million every year to Hamas? Iran. Thank you. So they can say all they want. Oh, it's just their humanitarian aid. But guys, we're not stupid. Once that money is in the hands of the other country's government, they can pretty much do whatever they want with it. Guys, do you ever give money to panhandlers or homeless people?
Yes.
Homeless people?
Why? Why would you give money to them?
Well, you gotta think of what they're going through. They need money to survive.
But they're conning you. Okay, most of the time we know that the chances that once that money's in their hands, they're not going to use it to buy food. They're going to buy cigarettes, booze, or get their next drug fixed.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Like, that's why I don't give money to them, because I know what they're going to use it for. I literally had a panhandler outside of a 7-Eleven in LA. I get up there, it's early in the morning, and I get in there, hey, I'm really hungry. Could you help me out? And I said, sure, I'll buy you something. What can I get you? And then he asked me, and then he says, oh, some coffee and cigarettes. Like, that's not food, asshole.
My ex-girlfriend
And I
is
wasn't gonna
homeless,
buy him cigarettes.
and she probably, anytime someone gives her money, she probably uses it to buy cigarettes or drugs.
So Taliban ends up with billions of dollars worth of American-grade weapons and war equipment as a result of that damage withdrawal. Hey, that might be really shitty if they join the conflict using that same equipment. Or, that might be even really shitty if Hamas happened to use those same guns against our allies. Meanwhile, at the same time, Joe Biden is putting on a public face to support Israel, yet he's
Yes.
funded both sides. What the fuck? And that is the reason why a lot of people don't support this.
And I think I saw a picture on YouTube that Biden was just like sitting on his beach chair on the beach, just chilling while everything is going on.
Oh, that could whatever. I mean, there's
Ugh.
AI images of Donald Trump with Martin Luther King, so who knows?
And the reason why I was going to say that, reason why I don't support both sides. Well, one is if you support Israel, you're Islamophobic. You support Hamas, you're anti-Semitic.
I know. Bottom line, look, we get that this war is much more complicated than good versus evil, terrorists versus freedom fighters, G.I. Joe versus Cobra. But the only people that are getting screwed are those caught in this crossfire and are unlucky when a missile detonates in their apartment or school. So, for those of you who listened, all right, if you have any reasons why you support or condemn a side or why you don't support either side, let's please keep the comments civil, all right? I'm Desert Couch 22. Thank you for listening, and the diner is closed.